on the outside. How do you go about that as a prisoner?
Well, I don't think anything that Mia get is special.
Maybe a special sentence.
It's a special sort of torture.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to downplay not what we should be doing in the future. I need to acknowledge what we are doing right now.
Okay.
Because like Pelican Bay couldn't exist independent of real practical support from people who are on the streets, who are going to make visits, who are actually providing information to the community. Those things are happening right now. I got an attorney that's working in my office that's part of a litigation team that I'm paying almost full time just to sue them for torturing people. Mm-hmm. You know, in that mix, there's whole bodies of people that's going back and forth to Pelican Bay, making sure that the communication, you know, it's old school communication. It ain't like they got a computer and can send you an email. So we got to send people up and back. Those trips are invaluable about bringing information back down. Also, those damn trips are extremely expensive.
Yeah, because it's in the middle of nowhere.
It's in the middle of nowhere. You can't get any further north than Pelican Bay without going into a different state. Mm-hmm. In fact, when I went up to Pelican Bay, I didn't even know it was that much state of California left. Mm-hmm. You know, I think, you know, big ears things like elk and shit. You can go ahead and curse it. I'm trying to.
We're all adults.
We're all adults.
It's the thing that makes
No, but like, I need to be conscious of it because the degree of my oppression will have me articulating myself in such a way that it will talk to the brutality and it will talk to the oppression and it will talk to certain things. And I can be in other audiences and what they will hear is the language and make judgments based on the language as opposed to based that is in response to my positioning in society. And they will demand that I articulate myself in such a way that I describe their brutality, their oppressiveness in such a way that I use the most gentle and sterile terms to do that. So like I got the wrestle, so I'm having a split thing going on with myself.
Okay, but I'm
yeah, but anyway.
Stop you just for 1 second to ask the question about that. And she mentioned earlier Momia. Momia, like you rightly said, isn't given any special privileges. But he does, from inside, communicate a lot. He has the radio program, and there are other things that are going on. Interviews are granted to him. Is that one of the tools that can be used by persons within Pelican Bay, or are there other tools you think in addition to your work that can be implemented?
Well, I actually think the use of media is of paramount importance. I actually think people communicating this issue in terms of the hunger strike generated coverage in so many different places where coverage had been impossible. And you got to take into consideration where Mamiya exists and where we existed in this state. Mamiya obviously don't have a media ban. We got a flat-out media ban in California, and we just lost legislation because some of us are actually working on multiple fronts. We could have a litigation strategy. We could have a legislative strategy. We could do grassroots organizing. So we're putting a whole bunch of different strategies into play, and not all of them are winning. In fact, when they was on hunger strike, nobody could go up and interview the people on hunger strike except the litigation team. There was no media going up and saying, you know, I can remember being on Amy Goodman, and I looked at myself afterwards, and I could see I was breaking down because I didn't know what to do when they was into day number 20th, and we had met with the receiver's office at that particular point, and the receivers had started to describe what it would look like for somebody to starve themselves to death. So they brought in doctors to talk to the mediation team to tell us what do starvation look like. As I'm getting information about what is happening with the state of health. So my interviews, initial interviews in Pelican Bay, when I said nothing special about Mamiya that he's given other than his ability to communicate. Other than that, they got him in prison and he's claiming he's innocent. Ain't shit special about that. That's just regular protocol for people going to prison. There's black and brown. The other thing I didn't want to run past, and I'm going to shut up, is that in Michelle Alexander's book,